Wait, are you making the claim, or am I saying what I think?
This was my claim.
Okay, awesome.
Reed and I did a talk about this through Zoom a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Should they be taken seriously, in your opinion?
In my opinion, they should not be taken seriously.
Wow. Okay. So what's an unfalsifiable claim?
So my definition of an unfalsifiable claim is there's no conceivable test that would disprove this were it to be false.
Okay. Any examples?
Yeah, if I said that, like, there's a rabbit behind you and it's always like, it's so fast you can't turn around and see it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got some special fur coat that repels photons and can't be photographed.
Okay.
And has no heat signature.
No, makes no sound.
And it doesn't poop.
Okay.
And but it's right behind you and I can see it.
There's just no possible test to determine if the rabbit's there. Okay. And you think that such claims, like there is such a rabbit behind me, shouldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. How confident are you on that claim?
I go with the classic 95.
Okay. Just because you should always have some room for doubt or something? Is that the...
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've already talked about a few instances where it would be unwise to 100% commit to this. So one example I can think of is there might be things that are true about the universe, like rabbits that are always behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't devised the kind of test that would disprove or prove them.
That would make it... That would make it falsifiable, though.
I
Or
guess
would it?
At present, not falsifiable, but eventually falsifiable.
Okay, so we could call claims that at the moment, like, okay, let's see, what's a good example?
Let me tell you something I was just thinking.
Okay.
So, I actually had a cool talk with my mom about this after she watched a video that Reed and I did. And the example we used was how the model of the atom has evolved over the last century.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that everything, things are solid, so atoms must be solid, and they called it plum pudding.
Mm.
So if you zoomed in close enough, everything would just be shoulder to shoulder. Sort of like how we see cells under a microscope today,
Okay.
but that would be the most indivisible atom in the universe. And but there was no way of testing this because nobody had thought of one yet. And so people said, what's the point? If they're plum pudding or anything else, it's never going to matter.
Right.
And then somebody came along and said, well, if you could get a sheet of, paper basically that was only one atom thick, there would be holes in it.
Mm.
If it was not plum pudding.
Right.
But if everything really was shoulder to shoulder, it would be, totally reflective.
Yeah.
So he took gold and pounded it until it was one atom thick.
Someone actually did this?
Yeah, Rutherford.
What happened? Did that work?
And then he shot neutrons at it, or photons or something, or electrons.
Photons, maybe. Yeah.
Some of them bounced off of it, but others went straight through it and kind of scattered in random directions, suggesting that there's empty space in the atom. So before he devised this experiment, it was irrelevant whether atoms were plum pudding or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he has an experiment, it suddenly became a falsifiable claim from unfalsifiable.
Right. So that we could say then that unfalsifiable claims can become falsifiable claims. Like there's a time constraint on an unfalsifiable claim. Just saying that it's unfalsifiable doesn't mean that it's going to be that way forever.
Yeah.
Is there any such claim, in your opinion, that breaks this model, like a rabbit behind me that's invisible and all that kind of stuff?
Do you mean something that I can say for certain will always be unfalsifiable?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I think that there are claims that are engineered to be unfalsifiable and stay that way.
Okay. Like what?
Usually like religious beliefs kind of have that hermetic seal quality where they're totally impervious because there always is some addendum belief that's
Right.
like, the rabbit is reflects photons or it doesn't produce a heat signature.
Hmm.
So I feel like you can engineer beliefs, and there are claims like that, yeah.
You can engineer something that will forever be unfalsifiable.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But then other claims that are more like by their nature about the world,
Hmm.
like a belief that aliens exist, that might be unfalsifiable now, but in Star Trek they just do like a bioscan of a planet, and in 2 seconds they know if.
Because we don't have bioscan technology, the claim is unfalsifiable now. But if
we
had
may
it,
have that technology someday,
okay.
so it will probably become more falsifiable at that point.
Okay. So, like, let's take that claim then, that aliens exist. Maybe not here, but elsewhere.
Okay.
Should that claim be taken seriously at the moment?
So according to my post-it note, unfalsifiable claims should not be taken seriously because of the conspiratorial nature and like the fact that every time you can debunk one instance that people thought this was aliens in the sky in a photograph and a video, you can debunk one of those, but they'll always point somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So the claim that I put on that post-it note is that no, those kinds of things should not be taken seriously.
The claim that...
Oh, but you said not here, though, just anywhere in the universe, as far as aliens go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess would you consider that particular claim, to be unfalsifiable at the moment?
The claim that there are aliens out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any experiment that would, with like 99% confidence, the result of this experiment could be, turns out there's no aliens anywhere. Like, it'd be very hard to just immediately know that.
Right. Okay, so we can test to see if there are aliens, but you're saying we can't test to see if there aren't aliens anywhere.
Right. And the claim that there could be aliens anywhere is like, they have all of the chips on their side of the table when they make that claim. Because even if you discover that the phosphine gas on Venus was due to some abiotic property,
Mm-hmm.
well, there could still be ancient fossils of life on Mars. But even if those turned out just to be, there's no life in that water, there's other galaxies out there.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So that claim, the positive claim, should be taken seriously, that there is life somewhere. Even though, yeah, like you said, the person who makes that claim has all the chips on their side of the table. But the negative claim shouldn't be, which is that there is no alien life anywhere. And you're saying it shouldn't be taken seriously until we get some bioscan of the universe or something like that?
So let me make sure that I'm understanding your question.
Mm-hmm.
My position is that if a person says something like, I'm 100% sure there's aliens somewhere,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt about this, and then I said, well, how can you be so sure? And it turned out that this person was using some kind of conspiratorial thinking, and that this was really the kind of claim that was engineered to be unfalsifiable. That kind of claim shouldn't be taken seriously.
Okay, so that there can be a version of the positive claim about alien life that is unfalsifiable. Something like something like the version of the rabbit thing that you just said,
Mm-hmm.
about an invisible, not pooping rabbit. You could make something similar about an alien.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And again, it's only not taken seriously at the moment because we have no way of seeing if it's the truth or not. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Is there anything that could knock you down off your 95% confidence?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Maybe that 5% is too small, because I was just realizing, like, if we didn't take claims like this seriously, we probably wouldn't have devised as many experimental measures as we have today.
That's a good point, yeah.
Like, it was Rutherford who was like, could y'all shut up about plum pudding? I'm going to invent 1 atom thick gold foil. And, maybe somebody's going to be like, could you shut up about invisible rabbits? I'm going to invent something that can detect an object with no heat signature that reflects all photons or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it keeps happening. Like, before, I guess, at some point, some sort of conception of God was like something that lived in the clouds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we finally got above the clouds, and then it keeps moving into some further and further invisible, intangible realm.
Mm-hmm.
But that movement is sort of maybe something that inspires us to examine those places that people keep thinking we can't examine.
Yeah. So maybe there is value in engaging with those types of claims. Because we'll just find new ways to learn about the universe that we didn't think to analyze before.
So where would you put your confidence, you think? Maybe just 90?
Well, when you phrase it that they shouldn't be taken seriously...
Yeah, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah. Like, if I was to give you odds about how true I think something is, then those claims that are engineered to be unfalsifiable, I'd probably give you, like, really bad odds that those would be real. But if you phrase it as should they be taken seriously, well, maybe there is merit in, like, engaging with somebody who has these beliefs.
Right.
For their sake. Or, for the sake of, like, looking at the universe in a way it hasn't been looked at before.
Yeah, so if we think of taken seriously as meaning you should have a higher percent, or you should more likely think that it's true, then it's still very, you probably shouldn't take it very seriously, but in the sense that, like, it inspires you, or it inspires someone to examine such a claim.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they should be taken a bit more seriously.
I just thought of a great counterexample for me. Flat earthers.
Okay.
So this is a claim that is 100% falsifiable, that the earth is flat.
Mm.
You can think of many reliable tests that would either confirm or disconfirm that claim. But somehow they still managed to engineer this conspiratorial web of beliefs that becomes its own cohesive little airtight bubble.
Right.
And every time you introduce some kind of counterclaim, they're slippery enough to escape it. But, in my opinion, it is very worth engaging with those people. So we should take that claim seriously. If not for their sake, at least for its own, like, epistemological exploration.
Right.
To see what kind of thinking leads somebody to that.
Yeah.
belief.
Like, and again, it's weird. It's like, it shouldn't be taken serious. Like, you shouldn't take the claim seriously, maybe.
Oh, I see. So there's an ambiguity in take it seriously. Like, should I
Yeah.
take this seriously as this might be true?
Right.
Or should I take this seriously as is this worth talking about?
Yeah. And I guess I'm curious too on the subject of flat earthers. Do you think that, because I mean, you've already said that you should take it seriously because it's worth maybe changing their mind or spreading more sound information throughout the community. But do you think that their claims, that you should really take their claims seriously? Is there any merit in that?
For that particular claim, I feel like I've seen enough evidence that, barring some future discovery, some insight that we don't have right now, I don't take it seriously as a truth claim about the universe.
Right. And you feel like you shouldn't.
Shouldn't how?
I guess in the way that you mean it here, like it would be not beneficial for you personally to take such a claim seriously, like to really examine it within yourself and put it to scrutiny. Well, I
Yeah.
guess you have in the past, right? That's the only reason why you've come up with like counter evidence or?
I don't know if I've ever like looked into this with an open mind and
Yeah, I guess that's what
and
I'm asking.
with the feeling that I could actually change my mind about it.
Yeah, is that a worthy pursuit?
You know what? I feel like the more I think about this, the more I think it's a matter of a term that I've learned listening to Reed, which I'm sure he got from other people as well, which is epistemic humility.
Mm.
And I think that if you want to have epistemic humility, which my understanding of that term is the kind of attitude where you are open enough to other people's perspectives and loose enough with your own, and willing to let go of your own beliefs about reality. So yeah, I feel like for the sake of epistemic humility, we should take even unfalsifiable claims seriously.
Mm.
So that was actually a pretty big chink in my armor right there.
Wow. Yeah. So okay. So on both, I guess on both versions of that we sort of discussed of what it means to take something seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're changing your mind at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still going to be above the 50%, I think,
Fair.
that
Definitely
they should
fair.
not be taken seriously. But, maybe I should turn that little 5% that I had into like a 25 or a 30.
Ooh. So you're 75, 70%.
I'm a soft 75 right now. Because, let me tell you all my reasons now. The most important one, there could be experiments that we haven't devised about
Mhm.
ways to learn things about the universe. And maybe these people concocting unfalsifiable claims are just more creative than our scientists are.
Mm.
And maybe these creative people are going to get so much like traction with their unfalsifiable beliefs that scientists finally have to say, God damn it, we need to find a way to silence this once and for all. We discovered this new way of experimenting. Let's put it to this test, and they get an unexpected result.
Right. Yeah.
And they discover some particle in particle physics or something.
There's so many possibilities. Maybe NASA really is lying to all of us, and we're all sedated by some maybe we're all sheep in
Mm-hmm.
essence, and we're just completely blinded to the truth. Living
That
in
would
the
be another
Matrix.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch of possibilities, but yeah, it's weird. I think I've been just sort of following your thinking in this because when I sat down, I was about 95%. But maybe it is worth it to take the claim seriously. If only for some sort of an exercise in thought. But yeah, did you have any questions for me about this claim? I don't know how I'd answer it really.
Yeah, so with the kind of should I actually open my mind to this, where would you put yourself about unfalsifiable claims?
Well, I'm wondering if
Do you believe that there is merit in opening your mind to actually believing in something even though it's unfalsifiable? That kind of should.
It's weird the merit thing. It's like when I did believe in God at one point, and I was convinced that his existence was something that was completely beyond our scope of understanding. I guess making it in effect unfalsifiable. I guess I found merit in not only the comfort I was getting, but the confidence I was getting. But as to merit in regards to like truth seeking, only a little bit, in the sense that you were talking about, that like there's humility in that, and it's a sort of creative venture. But I think you should have a high level of skepticism, not a completely closed off level though. Maybe just a high one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a difference in the kind of skepticism you should have for a falsifiable versus an unfalsifiable claim?
Yes.
Like coming at it from a different angle or something?
Yeah, like a fundamentally different angle. Yeah, probably. I mean,
Like if I was telling you that I'm looking right at that rabbit right now, you'd
Well-
be skeptical in a different way than if I told you that like there's an odd number of Tic Tacs.
well, if you told me that you were looking at the rabbit and you said you were seeing it, I at least have my trust in you to go on, which isn't much, you know. No offense, just met you, but I at least have that instead of you just saying, there is this rabbit behind you. Neither of us can see it, etc. But still not much.
Mm-hmm.
But I do consider your expression of your seeing it to be some sort of super weak form of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So my mind just goes to my time as a missionary in Brazil when I was like testifying about God and
Wow.
Joseph Smith.
Wow.
And
forgot you were a Mormon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to toot my horn, but I was a good missionary. And I could convince people that Joseph Smith was a prophet and saw God and everybody. And from their perspective, they would have been relying completely on their trust in me as a person. Whereas you said you just met me, you don't know me. They met me and they trusted me immediately with that. Well, you know, after like a few weeks of building rapport or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Did you ever, as a bit of going off topic, I'm just curious, did you ever like convert anybody?
Like convert how?
Like, did you ever meet someone who wasn't a Mormon, and then after spending time with them, they would consider themselves Mormon?
Yeah, there's people who, when I announced my departure from the church, like 3 years after coming home from Brazil, they were devastated because they had, 180'd their entire lives based on what I taught them when I was there.
That's so crazy.
And now I've just said, I was mistaken about what things I told you, and I hope that, I told you the information because I wanted you to be happy the way I was happy. And I'm still happy. I was just using bad information. And if you feel happy living this life that you have, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made the first time and try to change your mind about how to live your life. So now I come to you not as a missionary trying to change you to atheism or ex-Mormon or anti-Mormon, but I'm just going to be your friend, and you can continue living the life that we lived together when I was there.
Did any of them choose to try to understand why you're an ex-Mormon?
Yeah, a couple of the younger people did.
Okay. Were you willing to engage in that conversation?
Yeah, when they pursued the information.
Okay, yeah.
I kind of like vaguely alluded to having been misinformed about Joseph Smith when I told them that I was leaving the church. And a few people kind of like, it was a bait, and a few people grabbed the bait. And then I had my little PDF ready, and I said, this is some things that I learned, and I hope that's useful for you.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah. It's a very sticky, like, person-to-person relationship situation to be in. And I still feel conflicted about even, like, my actions as a missionary and my actions after leaving the church and the way I engage with them. I just never know if I'm doing it the right way,
Yeah, since we're off this already, there's a funny thing that happened, I think it was in high school. I don't know, were you familiar with the... I think it might have been called askamormon.com or something like that.
Is this like a couple teenagers have a YouTube channel or something?
No, it was like a website where you'd go, and it was all about, I think it was like Mormon evangelism disguised in some way. But what it was really was just like you could have like an instant message chat with a Mormon, or you could call them and they would call back and talk to you. And I think in my misguided search for therapy, I started a ongoing call with some Mormon dude. And we ended up just talking a lot about religion, but then like my life and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, he was a really unprecedentedly kind person. And yeah, I don't know. I was just curious if you knew about the site.
It does sound like something the Mormons would do.
Right.
And you can talk live with a missionary right now from your phone.
Yeah.
You can like call them or just chat, texting. They have full-time missionaries who do that kind of thing in Salt Lake.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a great way to, I mean, if people want to have that conversation with you, then having that resource is really good. I see the billboards on like the 5 driving through California that say like, you know, Jesus is real.
I called one of those once.
I've called them before too. Just because you're driving like through the grapevine or something and you have nothing to do.
You're bored, yeah.
And they put the billboards right there for a reason. I had a like 30-minute conversation with a guy named Pat. It's the only one I remember. And
Was it like a debate?
no, well, I told him that I, you know, was agnostically atheist and came from a religious upbringing and just saw a billboard and wondered who I would talk to. And he was like totally down to just have that kind of conversation. I think I got lucky.
Yeah.
He didn't like, you know, try to compel me with the power of Jesus or something.
Right. No, I had a similar conversation. It's a whole similar thing, but we had a whole conversation about like the question of evil and the you know, what I saw as a contradiction between God's omnibenevolence or whatever and the existence of hell and suffering and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he just had his own thing about like you know, the fact that God gave us free will is you know,
That's
the
his back
answer.
door for responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a whole, it was maybe about an hour conversation, but yeah. I think I understand your claim about that.
Okay.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. I definitely,
We did some traveling.
I feel less confident in my position than I did before.
I guess my work as a street epistemologist is
My
done.
work here is done.
Wow, this Zoom is so cool.